It's a tremendous amount of work for 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon. We spend a week in preparation beforehand, and we spend a couple of days afterwards putting it all away again.
On the Monday or Tuesday, they come along and they put up the main marquee, which will take most of today, really. We're just beginning to organise our kit ready for tomorrow. Then we'll start putting up tea tents, and we'll get some volunteers along on Wednesday and Thursday to put up our small marquees. The cricket team will put up one of the marquees for us. On Thursday then we'll have another team that will come in and decorate all the inside of the marquee. So that we've got bunting and banners, because we've got our own textile craft group as well, so we make all our own decorations for the marquees. So they'll come in and decorate all the interiors. In the background, my sister's at home taking in all the entries and doing all the admin work for the show, so that goes on all week. And then we've got to go and retrieve various bits of kit. So Wednesday night, a lorry will turn up with all our ancient trestle tables and old chairs and things like that all on the back, so we have to unload all that. And then we've got lucky wheels and splat the rats and things stored all around the village, so we'll be traipsing around picking all those up from various back gardens and garden sheds and things like that throughout the week. Friday night, then we have to lay out all the marquees, put the correct tablecloths on the table, so you've got to have white tablecloths for the baked goods, you've got to have black tablecloths for the vegetables, all things like that. And then we subdivide everything up so everybody's got their slot ready for when they come on Saturday morning. So that'll be about 1 a.m. on Friday night probably when we're doing that. It's definitely a lot of tradition, and it is just word of mouth passed down from one person to the next. But we tried, since we've taken it over, we tried quite a lot to modernise it. So it's always been done the same way. Going back generation after generation, it was the same ledgers and everything else, but we've switched to online entry, and I think we're up to about 98% online entry now, which simplifies the process a lot. So it is changing slowly. It takes a bit of persuading people to change, but we've got there, I think.
But you haven't bothered writing it all down yet?
No. We have a book. We have a book about how it's all done. Which we published to celebrate our 150th show. So all the history and all the traditions that have gone down through the years, that's all recorded, and eventually it will get, I suppose our chapter will get added to it as well. So I think the same family ran it for years and years and years.
My name's Diana Standing, and I'm President of Bream Gardening Society and Programme Secretary. I think I joined in about 2007. And at that time, a lot of the committee were getting older, and we were trying to find new young people to come in. So it was a time of great change. And since I've been here, there's been huge changes. It all looks the same. We still have a summer show in a marquee, but behind the scenes there's been a lot of work by a lot of people. It would never happen without volunteers. We have so many volunteers, and every year we seem to manage to get them back and then create new ones. We have a lot of work now with children, so we hope we're bringing on the next generation. And it always amazes me, in this marquee that we now have to hire, that's 80 foot by 40 foot, we fill it, every year we fill it with the most beautiful things. The standard of the craft and the baking and the flowers and everything else is so high. It's a treat to see. So this is our 160th year. I was here at our 150th. Which was quite hard work. It was on the rugby field, and it was windy, and it took ages putting the tents up, and they kept blowing over, and all sorts of things went wrong, but it was a very nice day in the end. But this is much better. Our new team just made a difference. They've turned the show around with new ideas. They really get their heads together and bounce off different ideas and have improved it and renewed it without it being different.
Okay, my name's Jeff Davis. I live in the village of Bream, and my family have lived in this village since the 1790s. In fact, one of the family was one of the founder members of the Gardening Society, and they were on the committee of the very first show and stayed on that committee for quite a few years. It's a thing that people have got involved in. It's definitely part of this village.
So we're in the main marquee, which is going to have all the exhibits in, and so far we've got the tables up, the alcoves up for the flower arrangements. We're about to put the displays up for the photographs, and we've just brought the lucky wheel and our new Splat the Rat over from somebody's back garden, ready to set them up tomorrow morning.
It's ferociously warm still.
It's absolutely baking. I've actually taken a photograph of one of our helpers being drenched with an entire urn full of water just when you were missing just now. Which is why she's now got a see-through skirt, but there we go.
Excellent, we'll see you bright early tomorrow morning. Lovely.
Yeah, too early. Okay.
Hi. Yeah.
Has this been a challenging year with the weather, or?
Yes, it has been really challenging, especially for my dahlias. They haven't bloomed like they usually do. But I think hopefully everyone's in the same position as me.
Am I allowed to ask how they judge garden compost?
I've no idea. First time.
You're a first-time compost exhibitor.
First time any exhibitor.
You've gone with compost to begin with.
Yeah, well, yeah, and some other categories. Tomatoes, the 2 baskets, vegetables and Mediterranean. 10 altogether.
10? Wow, you could be coming up with a lot of prizes.
Well, we'll see.
I'm just going to hide that over there and I'm going to come back after. My photos are really heavy. She's just done that.
So you said you were here 10 years ago for the 150th.
Yep.
Can you remember the first one you came to?
Yes, I can. I think it was probably about 1972. It was held inside the rugby club because I think the tents had blown down that year, they often do, and they'd made a very ingenious method of taking you sort of up down one row and down another by boarding it all off into different sections. But it wasn't the same as being outside. I remember being disappointed at being inside. It just isn't the same atmosphere at all.
And clearly tradition and continuity are really important parts of the show, and you said you've helped maintain them. What do you think gives it its magical element?
I think being outside under canvas and a big tent. We tried small ones after COVID because we weren't sure if people would come back and support it anymore, but they did. We managed to link 2 smaller tents together and make a sort of walkway between. It was really difficult to set up and everybody had to queue and go around one at a time, but we did it and everybody loved it, so that encouraged us to go back to the big marquees. So it does cost us a lot to hire every year because we had our own, but nobody can put them up anymore. We're no longer a village full of strong miners and quarrymen and things like that. We're a lot weaker society. But we have brains and we thought it through. We tried a survey of all our members to say inside or under canvas, and they all said under canvas. So we hire. So every year we have to go around and try and find somebody who's going to be willing to support our hire. The local council did one year. A private benefactor did a couple of years ago, and another private benefactor in Bream has supported us this year. So it's really good that we got that local community support.
So am I allowed to ask if you've entered stuff before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am in a bit of a rush.
Time's up, folks. Time to leave the marquee. Judging's about to start. Hurry along now.
So that's the bell's job for another year done.
It's the bell for the summer. Yeah, it belongs to Bream presented to Bream Horticultural Society by R. Williams, Esquire. Proper historic item.
And when did R. Williams Esquire hand that over?
Unfortunately, it didn't engrave the year on it. I would imagine soon after 1865. It's a good, authentic bell, and it weighs a ton. There's several people, and they want to put stuff there. You know. We need to get the judging started. To be fair,
We're done now. Sorry. Can everyone please leave?
the judges have got a massive job on. 945 entries to deal with.
I never showed in the hundreds, but I showed in the 110s. You'll have to ask you have to bring this to the attention of the secretary, because there's three there so far out of sync. Well, they asked for 6 kinds. There's 7 there at least. There's about 8 or 9 in that one. There's 7 or 8 in that one. You can only do what the schedule says.
After judging, in previous years, do people take you to task, or is it the judge's decision is final?
Oh, judge's decision final. Oh yes. He might be wrong, but it's final. Yeah.
I've judged in shows for many, many years, but I've only last year and this year come back to Bream.
Excellent. And how do you think the entries are looking this year?
Excellent. A big increase, I would say. Yeah.
So you're looking at preserves.
Yes.
Do you taste as well, or is it all fantastic?
Yeah. Taste. A little bit.
And does it get controversial? Do people...
I'm just the judge's assistant, but I would say yes, because there are quite strict guidelines. So you do have to have a look first and see if you can rule any out based on certain criteria, like size of jar and lids and that sort of thing.
They're not sealed properly, and there's supposed to be a certain depth, but we're being as good as we can. Yes. Yeah.
And does it ever get to fisticuffs in the tea tent afterwards? Are you expecting any afters, or is it...
One would hope not. We're far too, I was going to say, sophisticated and professional in Bream, but yeah, one healthy competition, I think, is the key.
You got a nice cup of tea there?
Yes, I have to keep me going.
Could you take some white arrow?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've got the best job in the show.
And my colleague, yes.
Yes. Can you tell me a bit about the process, the rigorous process that goes into judging?
Yes. Well, for a cookery judge, it's really essential that we first look at the outside, and then we look at the inside, and then we taste it. And a lot of the marks go on the taste and the flavour. So some people come along and they look at it and say, oh, well, that one looks really good, it must win. But no, it's a lot of it's down to the taste and the flavour.
Have you been doing this for long? You've experienced?
No, I'm a fairly new judge. Qualified last year, so but I've been sort of baking and doing lots of things for many years, but yes, recently qualified.
I've been eating cake for 58 years, and I'm not sure they'd have me as a judge, but excellent. Well, I won't delay you any longer. Thank you very much indeed.
Right.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Happy judging.
No, that's still the first. That's still the second. This is gorgeous. Right, so this is third. That one is now highly commended. Can you cross that out on the back of that card? Change it.
Have you been judging flowers like this for a long time?
Yeah, I can't remember when I got my first qualification as a judge. Not as long as I've been teaching. I've been teaching since 1991, which is too many years ago. And I think then I qualified as a demonstrator, then I qualified as a judge. One of our jobs as area judges, or indeed if I ever went on to be a national, which I decided not to, we have to write comment cards for everybody, because even if you don't win, you want to know why. So the judging part of it for me is fairly straightforward, because I know my design principles, etc., inside out. But when you're writing a comment card, you have to try to point out the fault but not offend them. And that requires some sort of diplomacy, I can tell you. So yeah, you have to write a decent comment, a good comment first, then the main fault afterwards, and you don't leave a whole list of you did this wrong, that wrong. You have to be nice, because you want them to come back next year for the sake of the show. So, and the other thing is, as an experienced teacher in the forest for years and years and years, I do tend to sometimes recognise the work of my students, and I have to put that out of my mind when I'm doing this job. So yeah, I'm not long out of hospital. This is where I've got my assistant, my son-in-law, who's actually turning out to be a good flower arranging judge. You can borrow him if you want him.
It's actually quite difficult to test honey because you've got to test the presentation, and that's the presentation of the jar and the presentation of the honey. You've got to make sure that there's nothing on the dust on the top of the honey, and the viscosity of the honey and the taste of the honey. So there's several areas we have to test, and also how long it's been, if it's been bottled too quickly, so that there's air in the honey. Within this one, there was a lot of air bubbles, so it's obviously been bottled within the last 3 or 4 days, and they've not allowed it to settle, the air to come out of it. So it's all in presentation basically, and then obviously the last thing we test is taste, and of course that's subjective, but it's yes. We try and get people to go into the honey classes, but we're having an awful difficulty, aren't we? Yes, we're trying to encourage them. Yes. The honey crops this summer have been affected by the dry weather because there's not enough nectar. There's not enough nectar about. Yes.
Need the right amount of rain at the right amount of time, the right amount of flowers.
Yes.
When the bees
For instance, in the forest, we get a lot of brambles. The brambles, if you look at the blackberries this year, they're very, very small, so therefore there wasn't enough moisture in the brambles to produce a lot of nectar. I always cite the fact that we one year we had 4 different sites where we're collecting our honey, and each site had a completely different taste from another one. In one area they'd found the nectar that they'd found was completely different to another area. And the colours will vary as well. You see, that one's quite dark.
These are all local honey, so
these are all local honeys.
Yeah.
So
when I first began,
it all depends on the nectar that they've brought in as to what the taste is going to be.
You know, it's really hard to. So you had to try and be as fair as possible and give everybody positive feedback, so encourage them for next year.
My name is Louise McGuinness. And this year, because it's 160th year, we're going back to our roots with a Victorian theme. So people are putting together costumes to dress up. We're taking a bit of a nod to the Victorian, and we looked at the old prizes that were awarded in the beginning, which were very much things like a bolt of fabric or a leg of pork. But nowadays you just get a cash prize and a rosette, and maybe a silver cup if you're lucky. There's a few names that always seem to appear, and the show would be the poorer if those people didn't enter. It's quite fun to say, oh well, yes, he's got the cup again, or she's won yet again. But the work they do is spectacular, so they should be justly rewarded. But it doesn't stop you having a go, and you often win the silverware on accumulated points. So you could win a cup because you've got 10 third places, because somebody else may have only entered one category and have got the red rosette first prize, but they don't score as many points. So sometimes you can win a silver cup just because you've put in a lot of entries and you've made a big effort. I think there's bound to be people in a village this size, there are bound to be people who will say, oh, I've never been. But they're missing out, so they should come. And you don't have to get involved, you can just turn up on the day, pay your entrance fee and join in the fun. It's interesting when you hear people say, oh, I got better than that at home, and you think, well, why didn't you enter it then? Sometimes you enter something and you're laughing at it before you've even put it on the show bench, because you think, now this really is not going to win me a prize. But it's not about winning, it's about putting together a spectacular show. And on Saturday, when the show tent is open after the judging and people are queuing to go in and have a look at the categories, it's really quite special. Very much some memories of childhood carried through to adulthood. It's lovely. Whole generations come, and it's even better when the sun shines, like it is this week.
I'm going to shout.
It's fine.
Everybody! Everybody, it's opening time at Bream's 160th show. We have to welcome Mr. Leek, and he is here to cut the ribbon now. Yay. Come on, Mr. Leek.
I'm Ian Hendy, and we're standing in the pavilion, the cricket pavilion of Bream Sports Club, which is where the flower show is being held on August the 16th, 2025.
And Ian, 10 years ago, you published the book which detailed the previous 150 years. We've now gone another decade. Tell me how you feel it's changed or not in the time since you wrote that book.
I think certain things to do with the flower show will always be the same. The commitment to running a flower show in the community, the fact that it has tents, the fact that it is almost always outdoors is something that is a big commitment. That is central to the whole thread of what the flower show has been since 1865. I would say this year, possibly because of the weather, possibly because it is the 160th show and there has been a special effort put in, but I would say this is the biggest show there has been here for quite a long time. So it's an impressive direction of travel for the flower show. It's delightful.
So I watched them put the big tent up on Tuesday afternoon and thought, they're going to have fun filling this, and yet this morning it filled up like nobody's business.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Yes, it is, yes. And it's a special event in the village year because sometimes, for some people in the village, I think it's the one time when they actually attend a local event. So for me, because I now live in Monmouth, it's one of the times that I come back to the village every year when I can, and I meet people I haven't seen since the last flower show 12 months ago. So it's that kind of event where you find out who's died, who's had illnesses, what's changed in the village over the last 12 months. So it's a very special event, it really is.
And can you remember your first show?
When we first moved to the village in 1977, 78, probably then I was a casual attender at the flower show, but then down the track, I think when it was their 125th show and they wanted to do something special, I was chairman of the club here and was involved in running a carnival, especially for the 125th, and I think we did it again for the 126th, which gets more people into the show because it adds a new dimension to what's actually going on. So yes, that's my early recollections of it, but that was well in a long time ago, 35 years ago.
Well, 1977 is nearly 50 years ago.
Well, that is, but when I was chairman here, that was quite a few years down the track for the 125th show.
Amazing.
Patty pan squash.
So tell me who you are and what's just happened.
Okay, so my name's Debs from Wollaston Amateur Gardening Society, and thanks to the encouragement from our society, I made a decision to grow vegetables for the first time this year, and I won first prize in the novice class, so selection of at least 5 vegetables. But I have my gardening club to thank, really, because they were very supportive and very enthusiastic in my attempts to grow vegetables and offered lots of assistance and advice.
So I met you this morning and you were a little bit nervous, I think it's fair to say.
I was very nervous. I was very nervous. very, very nervous because we've never had space for a vegetable garden before, and I've never grown vegetables before. And of course, the standard here is very, very high. So I'm walking on air, to be honest.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And well done for Bream for organising this incredible event, because these things do take organisation, and this is just such a lovely, lovely day. So well done, Bream.
Very, very, very busy. I think we've had another record year with the entries, which causes utter chaos because we run out of tables, basically. So it's been a bit stressful, but we've got there in the end. I don't think some of the displays didn't go up until after the show opened, but only 10 minutes, so I think we can be forgiven.
So I've been lucky enough to meet some of the winners today and see how excited they are. Several of them have never exhibited anything before, so you've certainly still got, there's still an excitement out there to enter something that's quite a traditional show format, isn't it?
Yeah, so actually we just spoke to the bar lady on Thursday afternoon, and we managed to convince her to enter her onions, and she's never been in the show before, and she's won first prize in the main onion category. So yeah, people are just discovering the show now, really. Even though it's such a traditional event, there's still lots of newcomers.
So 160 years and still going strong, and let's hope that...
Yeah, I think it's beginning to thrive again. It's but I'm not sure we can get much bigger. We've reached our limit, I think, in terms of size, but yeah. Hopefully another 160 years.
At some point, aren't you? So.
Yeah, we did run out of room again, so that's the children are tacked on the side, but yeah, we might be able to squeeze in an extra 20 feet and we might get a few more exhibits in.
Well, discovering the missing show, when I've been asked to write the book by the committee, I knew the first show was 1865, and by my mathematics, the 10th show would have been 1874, and the 50th would have been 1914, and therefore the 150th, if it was continuous, would be 2014, not 2015. So at that point, I began a search for what was the missing year. And from previous research, I knew how bad things had been in the village in 1926, the year of the general strike, when there were a lot of miners living in the village and working in the Forest of Dean coalfield. So it really was dire, the situation here, where people were almost starving and children were actually being evacuated from the village to go and live in London, where they could be reasonably fed. So it was a very, very difficult time for the village. Miners couldn't afford seeds for their garden. Any exhibits that they wanted to mount would end up on the kitchen table and be eaten. So in such a dire situation, the show committee decided there was no option but to abandon the show for that year. And that is the only one year that the show hasn't run. It's run all the way through the First and the Second World Wars, even though in the Second World War that involved putting the tents up and down in one single day, which is a phenomenal achievement, as well as running the show in the middle of it. Superb.
So I guess it's remarkable then that the show came back in 1927 in the way that it obviously did, otherwise we wouldn't be here today.
I think there was almost a clamour for it in 1927. The show was such a village institution. It had been missed in 1926 and everybody knew why, so there was a desperation to get back into the routine of having it in 1927. So I don't think there was any major effort there. There was just a real commitment to actually get it going again.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. Nice to talk to you, and thank you very much for having a chat.
It's my pleasure, it really is, and I would like to wish the show every success for the future. Long may it continue and thrive.
Yeah?
Very happy, yes. Going from a little cutting.
Which one's yours?
For the first time, that's not bad.
Are you a winner?
Third prize
can edit that down to 30 seconds.